I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a couple of different things on the Trans Am. I've got a few parts lined up. Got a couple of replacement front turn signal housing bulb sockets I showed you again in the last video. The driver's side was burnt out anyway, so I'm going to replace both. I got a couple of 4.5-inch LED fog lights to replace my old halogen fog lights that are down there. The driver's side is actually burnt out, but the lenses are a little bit worse for wear, so we're going to modify the factory brackets to accept those LED fog lights that I purchased. These were $30 or $32 I think for a pair, and they're actually for a motorcycle, but it's also a very popular modification that people do to these cars. So again, I'm not the first one to do it. I'm just kind of doing what everybody else has done. It's pretty tried and true. Not a lot of experimentation to be done, so should work out pretty good. As you can see, a couple new little additions to the garage. Finally got a bench vise, and I've got a bench grinder down here, which is really handy. We're going to use these to make a battery hold-down strap for this car. The battery in this car is undersized for some reason, or whatever's going on, so I'm going to end up making a battery hold-down strap like I have for a previous car, which is kind of funny that I've actually done this before. So I don't know if it's a common thing for these cars, but the little wedge doesn't actually hold the battery in place. You could knock it over and short it out on the strut tower brace. So that'll be the first clip that we're going to play. It actually turned out pretty good, and after that, I'm thinking I'm going to replace these. I'll get those soldered in real quick. That'll just take a couple of minutes. Then at nighttime, we'll do these fog lights and show you before and after. So lastly, I've got another plan for the Trans Am coming up. I've got some actual performance parts for as far as the engine goes. Those are going to be here in the next week or so, and I'm also going to be dyno tuning the car, and hopefully it's going to pick up a little bit more power. So if you watched the previous chassis dyno video, you'll know that it made 383 average wheel horsepower, and I got 330 pound-feet of torque. So hopefully going to pick up a little bit with a real dyno tune. Keep in mind, before it was only road tuned, so there might be a little bit more on the table. I'm not super sure, but I'm hoping so. So just like last time, we had a little bit of a contest. This time we're going to do it again. Drop a comment down below what you think it's going to make when we actually do a dyno tune on it. The winner, or whoever gets closest with horsepower and torque, is going to win one of these UMI PErformance T-shirts. They are a pretty nice little shirt. It's going to be a large T-shirt. I ended up ordering a few of these for future videos for giving away because I do like UMI's products, and hopefully you guys do too after watching a couple videos here. So you only got to do a couple things to win. You've got to be subscribed to the channel. You have to like this video and drop a comment down below and guess what you think it's going to make for power. I'll have some decals and stuff to give away too, so I'll probably pick a couple people out of it. Not too sure, but if you're a long-time member, you know that I do contests from time to time. So thank you for subscribing, and good luck, I guess. So the first order of business here is that I'm going to create a battery hold down strap out of this 2-inch flat stock here. A couple of bends, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I've done this before on cars, and it's a pretty good way to actually fasten the battery, because for some reason, if you put an undersized battery, which this appears to be, the wedge that's down there that actually holds the battery, quick view of it down there, a little wedge is supposed to hold the battery. So this one in the car apparently is undersized because it's actually not wedged down. So utilizing this factory front headlight bolt and the wedge bolt way down there, I'm going to create a little bit of a bracket that's going to hold it. as you can see, it's the next day. I got my bracket all painted up. I'm going to put a little bit of that Velcro that I bought on. This paint match is pretty good. The flake is a little bit more, well, it's going to be hard to tell, I guess. Lighting's kind of harsh here. Probably be able to tell a little bit better there, but it's not exactly, but it should look okay under the engine bay. So put a little bit of that Velcro on, strap the battery down. Yeah, there we go. I got the battery hold down installed. It's not a work of art, but it's going to do the job. So that thing's rock solid, using the factory holes and everything. I did leave the wedge down there because I want to space it off and keep it for when I get the correct battery. If this one ever dies, I'll just get rid of the bracket. I had the same exact problem on a 98 Z28 that I had, so I don't know if it's common that people put undersized batteries into them or over time the wedge stops working or if I'm missing another part on this end, but second car that I've had with the same problem. So did the same thing on the last car, worked out really good. That about wraps that up. Nice using the new vise and the bench grinder, so got that from my grandpa, so thanks grandpa. First things first, I think I'm gonna go ahead and peel the front bumper cover off. I'm gonna go ahead and install these two turn signal housing bulb sockets that are burnt out, and after reading it online, apparently it's easier to install these fog lights with that front bumper cover off. I believe it, after having it off one time before. Even with the Midwest chassis front bumper support, I think I'm gonna have a tough time bolting and unbolting. Let's see, way down in there, down inside of the bumper cover, there is my fog light bolts. I might be able to get to them from here if I loosen that lower bumper cover tab. Might not actually have to take it off. I'm gonna take a look at it for a couple minutes and see if I can pull them out. As you can see, they fit very well inside of that front bumper cover, both of them. And yeah, I guess we'll get going on it here. Alright, so I got the front bumper cover off. Took about 15-20 minutes, getting pretty quick at it. The little bit of fluid coming out there is from the air conditioning condenser and everything. I had that on today, so it's just water. Anyways, got the front fog lights all unplugged. Going to remove the housings that are fastened to the Midwest chassis bracket here. Luckily, these do come wired as the new plugs do, which is kind of nice. Anyways, the new lighting is going to be plug and play. The only trick is going to be getting it mounted inside of this old housing here. So in the end, these lenses here will come off, and the housing and everything, that'll all come off. I'll have to actually modify the new lights a little bit to make them fit right inside here, but they will in the end. First things first, I'm going to replace the two turn signal housing plugs. Well, I've got it all exposed and fresh in my mind. This has been replaced once already and has subsequently failed. So we'll get rid of these butt splices here. I should have some more loom, and we'll try and make a beautiful thing out of it. So I got the driver's side all done. Same process on the other side. Did have a little bit of split loom lying around the garage, which is nice. So got that continued all the way out to the bulb now. So when it's up in there, it'll be nice and secure, and the connections will be dry now with the shrink tube and actually being soldered. The other side is actually in the same shape, which is too bad. So I'll end up replacing both of these regardless. The socket on the other side it wasn't as bad as this side, but it's very crispy also. So as you can see, they both got pretty scorched. I do have a bad LED bulb over there. I had to test it a couple times back and forth because I couldn't get the running lights in addition to the turn signal or hazards to work. So did have one bad bulb, a little bit of troubleshooting, found that out. I'll replace this real quick, finish up this little project, then get to installing those fog lights.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us.
Alright, so that phase of the installation is done, as you can see. Nailed it. Next up, I do have the fog light I do have the fog light housings off of the car already, and I got them disassembled as you saw in that quick little time lapse. Now I do need to modify these. It's going to be painful. But as you can see, there's no way to mount these as they come from the factory. There's nothing tapped, I guess. There's no brackets, there's no nothing. Now what most people end up doing, and I see why, is that the heat sink on the back, they'll drill a hole and then they'll tap one of the heat sinks here. If that's going to make sense, you have to throw a bolt in through the side of that little housing and then actually thread it into the holes that you drilled and tapped, or use a nut and bolt type of method. Then of course you're dealing with the length of the hardware that you use and probably want to throw a little Loctite on it. And then I can see it moving a little bit, but apparently it works pretty good. So I'm just going to do what everybody else has done. It seems to work. It's pretty tried and true. I'll end up modifying these a little bit, Hopefully we'll be able to put them together and pull it outside tonight and see what it looks like.
You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't.
All right, well there it is. It's not the prettiest thing. But I did adapt these to the factory fog lights. Now you can see that they're a little bit off, and I'm gonna have to just bend the bracket a little bit when it's mounted so it'll actually aim straight. I ended up painting them a little bit. I used some 632 hardware with nuts inside. It's gonna be hard to see, but you can kind of see what's going on in there. I ended up drilling holes through the heat sink on there, and I bent the top of the brackets to brace against the top of the light because it kept wanting to turn up as I tightened it, because it's a couple of rounded surfaces and it's not ideal. It's not really made for this bracket, but it's going to work really good. So I've got the one light already mounted. You can see it's back in its factory position on the bumper. Throw the other one on real quick. We'll plug them in, fire them up, and see what we got. Alright, so as you can see, the fog lights are all installed. They do come with the correct harness right from the factory, which is nice. There's red and a black lead, which means power and ground. Red is obviously the power in 12 volt low voltage stuff. You can leave that plugged in and you can splice on your own end, which is real handy, but we do not need to use that. Luckily for us, the lead on here, the same plug. It's a purple lead and a black lead. Purple being the 12 volt switched power and black being ground. So you can just line it up. You can plug it in both ways, so be careful. Put red on the purple side, black on the black side. Super easy. And that'll be it. Let's move on to the other side. Same process on this side. Everything's looking good. Put a little bit of dielectric grease on this one too. I always like to put these on connectors, try and make sure everything stays nice and sealed off here. Again, we're going to plug in red to purple, black to black. Show you this right here. And we should be ready to turn the fog lights on at this point. I'm expecting the pattern to be off just a little bit, but you will have to let me know what you think of these. Let's see what we got. Ooh, baby. They're pretty bright when they're dead on. It's a little bit more of an off-camber sort of shot. You can see they're a little bit different when you look at the focal pattern on the ground. And then same with the focal pattern there. Actually looks pretty good, to be honest. I'm wondering why they look a little different on the ground. It's like one's more forward than the other one. There's a first look at it. I'll have to put the car back together and we'll go for a little bit of a drive here and see what we've got. Alright, so that about does it for the fog light install. Skipped over the reinstallation of the bumper because that is redundant at this point. I've done it probably 20 times on camera. It's getting a little bit late, so we're going to go for a quick drive. Major apologies to my neighbors. I did replace the front side marker lights and those front turn signal housings with LEDs as well. So it's looking pretty tough right now. I'm a really big fan of what's going on. There's 6K Sylvania bulbs behind there. They're white. The housing's amber. I wish I could have found amber bulbs because through amber is actually brighter. So being it would pass the same wavelength. So science. All right, we'll get out of here real quick, see what it looks like in the dark, and come back for tomorrow. So we'll see what it looks like in the dark real quick, and then yeah, wrap up tonight's portion. Sorry, neighbors. All right, there they are, looking tough. They're pretty good. Seem like they're pretty straight. You can't see the housings like I can. Try to get a little closer here. I still can't see them. Anyways, they are pretty straight overall, so it's a pretty good view. Obviously, that's just the fog lights. Give you a little view of what they look like here. So it is just regular fog lights. Turn the headlights on. Fog lights off. Turn the headlights off, or turn the fog lights back on. And the headlights back off. So here's an idea of what it looks like in the car. This is obviously with both on, so we'll go down to the fog lights. Turn them off. So there's the regular headlights. Fog lights, and then just the fog lights. They're actually surprisingly bright. I'll actually back up and we'll go for a little drive. We're gonna go down this little service road here, so no real danger of blinding anybody or breaking the law. You could drive with these. They're as good as the headlights in my opinion, you know, after just driving a little bit here. You know, maybe they're not quite as good as headlights, but they're pretty good overall. This gives you a little idea of what they're like. We're going about 20 miles an hour. There's with the headlights. Obviously the headlights are a little bit better, but these are just $30 fog lights. I mean, $15 a piece, what can you ask for? So yeah, overall they look pretty good, if I say so myself.